Time has come to update the radio in the 240. This is an older Pumpkin Auto unit. It's one of the first Android autos they released. It's, Android interface. It does support CarPlay and whatnot, but it's just kind of quirky. It doesn't have all the modern features the wife likes. This is her car, so I'm going to install the newer Pioneer unit that has all the wireless CarPlay and whatnot, and hopefully update this car. This looks pretty good in here. I don't expect the Pioneer to look any worse. But yeah, let's get started. I didn't feel the need to make a full how-to video on this. You can find a lot of how to do a stereo in a 240, but just a quick little reminder. This top part with the vents just pulls out, it snaps in right here, here, and then two upper lid things. Just be careful. They are super brittle after being here for 20-25 years. Next, you have two screws on the top here that bolt this piece in. You have one that people tend to forget about all the way back there. It's behind the ashtray. The ashtray just pulls straight out. And then you have one right there and one right there. And then that should make this part loose right here. But this one people always forget about. It's in the back of the ashtray, and they start yanking on and they just break it off. So in addition to the radio, I'm going to be replacing the backup camera. The backup camera that came with this, I don't even remember the brand, but it was probably just another Chinese variant. I ordered a Pioneer for this one. I'm just going to compare the before and after for the camera. This one leaves a bit to be desired, but these radios only use RCA cameras. They're not digital, so you can't really attach a high def camera to these radios unless you spend a lot of money and get a lot more expensive head unit that does a digital camera. So I got the radio out. I forgot to point out, these are the screws that hold on that outer plastic fascia, but they're also the screws that hold in the radio bracket. So after you pull that plastic piece off, radio comes right out. Just unplug all your wires and you're good to go. So these are actually really easy to remove. This is the new unit. You can see this is a full double DIN. Takes up a bit of space, but it's not as deep as like the old ones used to be. What's nice about the new one is it's like a single DIN with a screen, so I'll have a lot more room up here for some wire management. Screens look to be about the same size. I think the Pioneer might be a hair shorter, but no, they look about the same. So width looks like it's going to be the same. Yeah, that's what they look like out. I'm going to get these brackets swapped over and see the fitment in the car. So you can see the new head unit is slightly shorter vertically than the old unit, so it's got a little bit of a gap. Crutch-filled sends for free, usually the install kits, and it also came with this Nissan little fascia thing here. So I'm going to see if I can't get it installed correctly and get the depth right. I might have to do a little bit finagling and hollow out the holes to try to get a real flush fitment, but we get it figured out. So this little finisher piece I did have to modify a little bit. You can see I cut some notches in the bottom and both sides. That's so it can fit here. I don't know if you guys can see that. On these tabs it has these essentially little wings right there, and then also on the bottom right there. And rather than cutting them off the factory piece, I'd rather cut into this cheap little finisher because I don't know if you know, these pieces are real brittle. They're hard to come by. This one was brand new when I bought it, and then I had somebody local do a carbon fiber job on it for her birthday one year. So I'd rather not cut into this piece and just modify this, and it actually turned out pretty good, and covers that gap we had before, and I think it's going to come out pretty nice. So here's the old harness out of the car. You see I did use the adapters to connect to the factory harness. I like to keep the car as factory as possible, even though it's got a custom engine harness that I built for the standalone and whatnot. But as far as the body of the car, it's trying to keep it as close to factory as possible and in good shape. So I used butt connectors last time, quick and easy. This time I'm probably just gonna take the time and solder everything and make everything a little bit cleaner. But yeah, if you've never done a stereo, it's pretty simple. Alright, so here's the finished product of the harness. You can see the new one's much cleaner than the last one with just the butt connectors. These things are always kind of messy. I could have done a better job with this last time, but I think I was working in the dark, working late one night. Still works, but I'm just cleaning everything up, making everything much nicer now. Pretty straightforward color codes and whatnot. This radio is slightly different, so the wiring for the back camera is a little bit different, and also there's a little difference with the brake input with this one. I'll touch on that a little bit later. In addition to updating the head unit, I picked up all new speakers. I replaced the back ones here. If you know 240s, they're kind of an odd size, so I did have to make my own holes. I support it with some foam to keep any kind of rattling down. I know some people do Dynamat and whatnot. I just want to keep the weight down. They do mount kind of funky, but they're not too bad to do. You just pull up this back panel here. It just clips in. Gonna do the fronts next. So I got one of the door panels off. Another nice little surprise here. Looks like the previous owner also replaced the front speakers. You can see they're not the standard Nissan size. This is a lot smaller. That looks like it might be a 4-inch. Sherwin Vega. Sherwin used to be a pretty good brand. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but so we'll remove these and put the new ones in. Here's the old one I pulled out. It was installed in the car. You can see they had this bracket on here just to make sure it can mount to more than 2 positions. Obvious size difference. The depth looks to be about the same. There's no depth issue in the 240s putting bigger speakers in, but this is a 6.5. I believe that's what they call for from the factory. This looks to be like a 4-inch or something. Definitely not the right one that was supposed to be in there. We never concentrated on the sound system on this car for the most part. It was just mainly performance stuff, but now it's time to update the car with some newer stuff, make it sound better and make it more fun to drive. So these buckets actually have quite a bit of depth to them. As you can see, the speakers we bought don't have much depth. We'll probably won't even come within 2 inches of actually reaching the back of this box here for the speaker. One thing you do have to do if you're installing aftermarket speakers into these is you have these ridges like right here. You have like a little nipple right there, these tabs. The actual mount for the speaker would lay on top of some of these. So in order to make it lay flat, I have to get the Dremel out and cut these things off, cut the nipple off, and just make sure it's got a flat surface to mount to. So I'll be doing that next. You can do that in the car, or you can see it's easy to pull off. I believe it's only like 3 bolts to pull this box off, but that's next. Alright, so I took my trusty Dremel that we actually use to trim the dog nails. It's low torque, but it's fine for this. I'm just cutting some little plastic tabs. You can kind of see here, I didn't even take the whole tab off. I just cut them and make sure to grind them down to where everything's flat. That way the speaker can mount flush all the way around. And the good thing about this is now it will mount up to the factory holes. So that's kind of nice. Alright, so here's the finished product. I think it looks pretty good, turned out pretty good. Everything looks real nice and flush. Fitment's real good. Still need to hook up a phone for CarPlay or Android Auto. I don't expect this to be very difficult. But I'll be doing that here shortly, and I'm actually going to go and do a review on this radio because this is the newer Pioneer unit and I could not find a single review video on this. So I'll play around with it, hook up an Apple phone and an Android phone just to see how easy they are. So far it looks pretty good. I did hook up the backup camera like usual. We'll have to see how this compares to the other one, but I think it's a little bit clearer than the other one. You're only going to get so good with these. But yeah, let me know what you think. I think it's a nice little upgrade from what was in here before. All the speakers and whatnot that we installed sound a lot better.